Welcome friends to another r/am I the jerk here video. Would you be the jerk for not letting a coworker that's facing homelessness move in with you? We'll find out, but first a story from Cheeky Lil Booger. Am I the jerk for serving fake meat and pretending it was real? My 2 daughters are vegetarian, but my husband and son are not. I'm probably what they would call a flexitarian. My son and husband always turn up their noses at tofu or any other meat alternatives. They say it's just weird that it's made to resemble real meat, so it's really the concept and not the taste. There are no allergies. My family and I often make 2 versions of dinner. 1 meat, 1 real, and twice the amount of pots and pans. There's an equal distribution of cleaning and cooking in this house, thankfully. My daughters had a fun prank idea of making 2 pots of spaghetti sauce. Under the pretense that one was meat, they were both the soy ground beef. The goal here was to see if their brother and father actually hated the meat, and to see if we could maybe save some dishes and time in the future. Everyone loved dinner. Both husband and son finished their plates. This is when my youngest couldn't hold it in anymore and told them. They both got very upset about being fed something other than what they were told. Reddit, am I the jerk? I think personally OP's not the jerk here because while they were lied to as far as what they were fed, I think there were good intentions here and it wasn't anything that would hurt them, and very clearly they enjoyed it. Could OP be the jerk at all for misleading them here, feeding them something other than what they thought they were eating? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Our next story is from Long Jumping Draw 864. Am I the jerk for telling my coworker I'll cover up my shoulders when he starts wearing shoes? My workplace doesn't have a dress code, so everyone dresses very casually. Today I was wearing a top with thin straps with long pants, and my shoulders were showing. One of my coworkers, Brian, was giving me angry looks all day. And when I finally asked him what's wrong, he told me that he thought better of me than to dress in barely any clothes to work. At that moment, Brian was wearing pretty short shorts and was barefoot. He dressed like this the whole summer, and the office is carpeted. He only puts his slippers on if he's going to the bathroom or the kitchen. I told Brian that I'll start covering up my shoulders when he starts wearing shoes to the office. If I have to watch his hairy toes at work, he can deal with the sight of my shoulders. That of course didn't help. He put on his headphones and didn't even look in my direction the rest of the workday. Now I'm wondering if I was wrong to say that. He is a coworker and I should thrive for good work relationships, but I felt insulted, so I kicked it back at him. Am I the jerk? Is this guy like a middle schooler or something? Like, are they stuck on the dress code policies when growing up? Who cares if you're wearing a strappy top that shows shoulders? Next thing you know, they're gonna tell you to start covering up those ankles too. Think about the Amish, OP. By the way, them going barefoot at the office is way weirder than ever showing shoulders. This next story is from Purple Dingo. Am I the jerk for excusing myself to throw up when my boyfriend's family gave me meat knowing I was vegan? I've been vegan for 10 years and vegetarian for 3 before that. One thing to know is that after not eating meat, a person can't jump right back into eating a lot of it without some seriously unpleasant digestive issues. It has to be reintroduced slowly. I found that out by chance when I actually got drunk at a bonfire party, got confused between the veg chili and the meat chili, and spent the next day and a half fighting for my life on the toilet. Or another time I had a stew with meat by accident, and it came out both ends at the same time. That was fun to clean. After these experiences, I've decided that if I ever eat meat by accident again, I'm just gonna have a quick puke because at least that's better than a day or 2 of stomach issues. So last week, I was visiting my boyfriend and his family, and his parents and brother have always given me crap for being vegan. They crack jokes about it all the time. But this week they were kind of pleasant and, on the last day, said they made me a meatless family recipe. The pasta with chunky red sauce with a bunch of veggies and stuff. It was kind of weird tasting, but I was polite about it when they asked, and I said I liked it. Then his dad was like, "Ha, did you hear her? She said she liked it." And the whole family except my boyfriend and I were acting like it was some big joke. Then his dad revealed it had ground beef in the sauce. I was like, God darn it, internally, because I had a 4-hour flight the next morning and I did not want to spend it blowing up the airplane bathroom. So I was like, "Excuse me," and walked to the bathroom. His family was like, "What the freak?" So as bit of an answer to them, I didn't shut the door when I did what I was about to do, have a puke. It was a little dramatic honestly, but I'd rather it come out once easily than unpleasantly on the plane or bus, especially because the bus has no bathrooms. His family was getting mad at me for throwing up with the door open because my boyfriend's brother's kid daughter got grossed out and puked on the floor too. I was pissed off, but decided it was better to spend my energy just screwing off, so I was like, better out than in, right? I bounced and my boyfriend came with me, though he'd been trying to talk with his family before I put my foot down and said I was out with or without him. He's mad at his family for obvious reasons, but he's also kind of upset with me for how I handled stuff, feeling like making everyone hear and see me retch, not cleaning up the splatter, and then heading out fairly wordlessly. I was like, nah, I handled it fine. I wasn't being dramatic. I didn't want to be blowing up the airplane toilet tomorrow. And the splatter? They're darn lucky it wasn't coming from the other end. At that point, I started laughing at the idea, which made my boyfriend madder. He was saying that kind of vile stuff was screwed up, and I was like, chill, it's a joke. He's upset with me for that. I'm mad at his family, and I'm wondering, am I the jerk for puking after my boyfriend's family tricked me into eating meat, even though I'm vegan and it would cause digestive heck for me? I think it's safe to say that OP is not the jerk here. Unlike our earlier story, this isn't some harmless prank. Feeding meat to a vegetarian can have actual digestive consequences. And frankly, it sounds awful, and I don't blame OP one bit for what they did. They're just lucky OP didn't start puking at the dinner table. This next story is from ThrowRA535244434. Am I the jerk for telling my brother's fiancee that the reason she couldn't get a degree was because of her choice to be a mom? I'm female 24. My brother Adam, male 30, met a single mom, female 32, from Latin origins, Michelle, a year ago, and they recently got engaged. We only met her a few times, but he brought her and her son over for dinner on Sunday. To be quite honest, the family and I didn't know much about her, so after dinner we started talking to her about her personal life. She told us she has only high school education and degree. She said she always wanted to go to college and obtain a degree, but said that it was so hard to do. I found that a bit cliche, especially after she started complaining about lack of opportunities and resources. I told her I disagreed because colleges give all kinds of opportunities and scholarships, and that the real reason she couldn't go to college was because of the fact that she was a mom and had to raise a kid. She stared at me silently, looking offended, then asked if I was implying that her decision to be a mom ruined her opportunities. I told her only she could answer that question once she takes a look at her life and sees if she's really happy where she is versus where she could have been without the whole struggling mom thing. She got upset and told me that she's happy with her life and her job at the salon, and said that she didn't appreciate how judgmental and condescending I was towards her and her child. Adam heard the commotion and asked what was going on. She told him, and he decided it was time to leave. She couldn't even wait or say goodbye. She took her son and went to wait in the car. Adam chewed me out, saying it was none of my business how she's living her life, but I explained that I was stating an opinion, nothing more, nothing less. Mom sided with them, saying I was out of line, rude, and ridiculous, but my younger sister said that Michelle was being too sensitive, and she should get over herself already. Adam left, and then my mom called him in the evening the next day, then came into my room to yell at me, saying I made Michelle cry with what I said. Now Mom wants me to apologize, but I'm not sure whether I was out of line here. Let me just say, even if there was validity to the statement OP made here, it's just so uncalled for and unnecessary. Nobody needs to hear that, and nobody needs to feel shamed for having their kid over picking a theoretical college life. You're basically saying to her face, hey, sucks that your kid exists. Sucks you made that choice, huh? By the way, if you're enjoying these stories, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below so you never miss any of my daily videos. Our next story is from Alternative Comb 669. Am I the jerk for lying to my friend's family about where she was so she could leave the country? This just happened, and my own parents just found out and are very angry with me. My friend, college friend, got married 2 years ago, and 6 months ago, she found her husband in a compromising position with another man. The truth came out that he only married her to have kids and to save face because, in my culture, same-sex relationships are taboo. He used her. She filed for divorce and moved back home. Even though she told her family what happened, while they were upset, in our culture, females are blamed for nearly everything wrong in a marriage. And this case was no different. Also because arranged marriages are the norm and she came from an ultra-conservative family, they decided to find another match for her. Here's where things get icky. Because she was used now in their eyes, they started looking for a man 10 times her senior, and that is exactly what they find. He was divorced 3 times, had 4 kids who lived with him, and was 13 years her senior. She didn't get a say. She begged them not to do this. Her parents didn't listen to her. They got her engaged last week, and she was at my house crying yesterday. Now, I'm a little impulsive and I have some savings. My friend also has a US visa, valid for 3 more years. I have some friends there who are in HR and good companies. I told her that if she was willing, I'd get her a ticket and she can leave the country. It's a huge step for girls in our country, but she didn't want to get married to a man like that after not even having recovered from her previous trauma. I talked my friend into the whole idea, and she went home to sneak her passport out of her dad's cupboard. I got her a ticket and gave her the rest of my money in cash and some she got from selling all her gold and dropped her off at the airport. Her flight was in 6 hours. She was still at the airport when her parents showed up panicking, asking where she was. I lied about knowing, and they're having a breakdown right now. I just want her safely out of the country before I say anything. My friend just got on her flight and she was on the phone with me when my parents overheard. They're pissed off at me for lying to her parents and told me that this is none of my business. Now they're calling her parents to tell her she's not dead in a ditch somewhere but has run away. I don't know what's going to happen. They demanded where she is and I'm refusing to tell. My entire family thinks I'm the jerk, but I don't. I mean, I guess this depends on the culture you live in, but I feel like most people would say that OP's not the jerk here. And the whole arranged marriage thing is super duper weird. I just can't imagine allowing your parents to pick your, at least supposedly forever partner, let alone one that's so much older than you and the implications of what you have to do being in marriage with somebody that you never even wanted to be with. It's just all kinds of horrendous sounding. This next story is from Many Cryptographer 3. Am I the jerk for leaving on my honeymoon the day after my brother's wedding? So my wife and I got married during the early days of COVID. We couldn't go on our honeymoon due to the lockdown, so we put it on hold. We've been married for more than a year now. My older brother got engaged during COVID and is having their ceremony this year. Due to the nature of my job, I can only take leave twice a year. I'm a doctor and work most weekends, and am quite burnt out. So we decided to book a relaxing honeymoon overseas at a resort. Due to the leave issue, I booked the trip for the day after my brother's wedding, which was my last available leave for the year. My wife told me I should probably speak to my brother first before we book in case they have any issues. I spoke to my parents and brother and everyone understood, so I thought it would be fine. Here's when things started to get weird. 2 months before the wedding and trip, I was on a call with my parents. I mentioned booking the trip, and they asked, "What trip?" I told them the honeymoon I'm leaving to after the wedding. Then they said, "You're going on a trip right after the wedding?" That was weird because I know I spoke to them about this. The next day, I get a call from my brother asking me whether I booked a honeymoon the day after his wedding. I told him I did, and he seemed quite upset. He said, "Won't this take away attention from their special day, and can't I do it some other time?" I told him we spoke about this and he said he was fine. Also, I have no other time in the year where this is possible. He said he remembers now about the conversation, but he only really processed it now. So, I don't know. It seems like everyone's so quick to give advice, but not really listen to what you're saying. I don't think anyone here is a bad person. It's just frustrating that we took the time to speak to people, but it's obvious they weren't really paying attention. Now I'm feeling guilty about my trip. People don't seem to understand that working in a hospital is very different to an office job. I can't just take leave whenever I want, and the environment is incredibly stressful. I think OP's not the jerk here, and I think it's pretty laughable for the brother to say, well, won't it attract attention away from my big day? When it's literally just a honeymoon trip. This isn't some like wedding, engagement, bridal party, whatever, that actually has the public showing up and engaging with it. This is just a couple of them getting on a flight going somewhere else. How could it possibly draw attention away from the wedding? This next story is from Dangerous Spot 5372. Am I the jerk for not letting a coworker move in with me when she might become homeless? I, 32-year-old female, live alone in a one-bedroom apartment. Recently, a coworker, let's call them Allie, has been coming to my supervisor to talk and visit almost every shift. They've been talking about how Allie's had a downturn in job performance and might be laid off soon if things don't improve. Allie is nice and outgoing, but not reliable when it comes to office work. The past couple of days, my supervisor has been very interested in my living situation, always asking how the area is, how I decorate my space, and how my relationship is with the property management. They've even started making comments about how lucky I am to live alone and how important community is. Yesterday, after Allie's usual gossip visit, my supervisor messaged me on the company chat asking if I knew of any open apartments that Allie could rent for cheap. When I told them that there's only a few apartments in my building and they're all occupied, they asked me to come over to their desk for a talk. It turns out that Allie's current roommates are breaking lease and she needs a place to stay. For over half an hour, they went on about how I could let her live with me and how good it would be to carpool, split expenses, and have company at home. I tried to keep the shocked look off my face as I told them I felt for Allie and her situation, but that I wanted to live alone and that my lease doesn't allow this space that I could surely share for a while. I repeated that I'm not looking for a roommate and left to get back to work. Not long after, Allie walked past looking very upset and got into a whispered argument with my supervisor before storming off. Ever since then, several coworkers have started giving me the side eye and water cooler talk, who weekly turns into how we are a family culture here and how nice it is to work with caring people. So, am I the jerk for not taking in a coworker I don't really know when they might get fired soon? To me, I would love if you were kind enough to help out a coworker in need, but you have no obligation to. This is one of those situations where I just don't think you could be the jerk for denying it. It's just such a big thing to ask of somebody, especially somebody that already is only living in a one-bedroom apartment. Our next story is from Rosie1914. Would I be the jerk if I told my sister that her trauma from reading my diary is not my responsibility? I recently had a very sad conversation with my little sister. I'm 22-year-old female and she's 18. When I was a younger teenager, I struggled greatly with my mental health. That was the low point of my life, and I've since been in therapy for multiple years, cut off an abusive family member, and have reached a very healthy and happy point. My sister just told me that when she was around 10 and I was around 14, she was snooping in my things and read my diary. She read lots of very intense and horrible things that I wrote. She was very traumatized by reading these things, and then proceeded to regularly secretly read that diary for over a year in order to keep tabs on me. She never told anyone about this and never confronted me. She is clearly deeply traumatized by this, and I feel absolutely horrible that she had to deal with all of that by herself. It's especially frustrating for me because, yes, the things written in that diary were terrible, but they were also an outlet for a very frustrated and struggling teenager. Writing was a way for me to express my big, complicated feelings, my anger, etc. at the time. So if she had never asked me about it or told an adult, this could have been resolved. Instead, she held on to this stress and trauma for years. I feel like what I wrote in my private diary was my business. Writing angry, terrible rants made me feel better and helped me get through my very difficult emotions all the time. I'm not proud of it, and it's not how I would handle things today, but I do feel like I should have been allowed to have my private coping mechanism, an outlet for my emotions. I understand that being a snoopy 10-year-old is pretty normal, but I also think I had an expectation of privacy that she violated, which is why she was traumatized by something that was never meant for anyone else to see. I made sure to validate the trauma and pain that this caused her. I apologized multiple times for being the cause of such distress for her, However, I'm frustrated because I feel like she caused this herself. She violated my privacy and then paid the price. I absolutely realize how awful this was for her, but I don't think this was my fault. She talks about this as something that happened to her, but I actively hid this diary and never wanted anyone to see it. She's angry at me for having written those things, but I don't want to apologize for writing out my emotions. It's clearly a tragedy that she read it, but to some degree, I feel like she is responsible. I would like to be available to her to help process the trauma and have apologized multiple times for being the cause of so much distress for her, but I don't want to apologize for the fact that the diary existed at all. Would I be the jerk for telling her that, while I'm truly sorry for the pain and trauma she suffered, this is not my fault and I didn't do anything wrong? I would hope that we can all agree that diaries are private things that are meant to stay private and contain private thoughts. So for them to go around snooping and finding your diary, that's already making them the jerk, let alone them reading through it and triggering themselves off of stuff that really you're trying to only confide between you and the paper you've written it down on. There is nothing that happened in the story that OP has to apologize for. Our next story is from Throw a Bounder. Am I the jerk for telling my cousin to give her daughter her own bedroom? I, 25-year-old female, have a cousin, 34-year-old female, Rose, who's a small-time influencer on Instagram. She has over 10,000 followers for her fashion, lifestyle, and artistic posts where she usually poses in photo shoots. This isn't her main source of income, but a hobby she does in her spare time. 3 years ago, Rose gave birth to my niece Daisy, 3-year-old female, who she adores, and they currently co-sleep in the same room. Rose currently lives in a nice 2-bedroom home, where the second bedroom has been converted into her Instagram photo shoot room, where she takes her pictures and stuff. Last week, when I visited her home, I asked her when Daisy would be moving into the second bedroom so that she could get her own space. Rose laughed at me and said that Daisy would sleep in her and her husband's room forever because the second bathroom is reserved for her Instagram room. I told her that maybe this would pose to be an issue because as Daisy grows up, she might need her own space to grow and might need a place for her own private thoughts. Rose then told me that if she gave up her Instagram room, then her influencer life would be over, and said I should just mind my own business as Daisy is not my child. She and her husband are currently trying for baby number 2, and I feel really bad for Daisy as she's gonna have to be squished in a bed with her mom, dad, and a brand new baby, but maybe I did overstep. Am I being one of those people who tell others how to raise their kids? Am I the jerk? I don't think OP's the jerk. I could see how their cousin could try to frame it like OP is. You know, how OP needs to mind their business and whatnot, but the fact of the matter is you have multiple bedrooms, you have a kid, and the second room is reserved solely for your Instagram photos as a hobby? Yeah, I think the kid's getting a little bit neglected. This next story is from Throwaway7. Am I the jerk for telling my brother-in-law what happened? Some time ago, my middle son, 6, told me that he really likes flowers. He then asked me to buy him some. I told my husband, and now my son has a small collection. He treasures it a lot. We gave my other 2 kids flowers the first time as well, but they threw them away immediately or gave them to their brother. Anyways, my sister and her family were over for dinner, and her kids and mine ran off to play. Sometime later, my eldest comes to me saying that my middle son is sad. He wasn't crying yet, but he was holding back tears. I asked him what happened, and he told me that his cousin went to his room and took his flowers. When I asked him why his cousin would do that, he told me that she just thought they were pretty and wanted them, so she took them. I went to find her so I could get the flowers back, and found her with her mom with the flowers around her. I explained to her what happened, and my sister just stared at me in disbelief. "They're just flowers," is what she said. I told her that yeah, they are, but they belong to my son and he wants them back. I told her that my son would definitely share if they just asked politely. She rolled her eyes and said, "But they're literally just flowers. What's a little boy doing with them anyway?" I told her that her saying that was a whole other issue, but I just want the flowers back without causing a scene. She told me that she'll give them back after her daughter is done playing with them. So I went to her husband and told him what happened after my niece began bending the stems. And he looked really embarrassed and immediately told me he was sorry. He went to his daughter and got the flowers and gave them back to my son himself. He then talked to my daughter, who also apologized. I thought that was it, but my sister was fuming the whole time. Before leaving, she began whisper arguing with me, calling me real mature for apparently snitching to her husband. She said that I'd given them another reason to fight now, and that she hopes I'm happy with my stupid flowers. Am I the jerk? The flowers are fake, by the way. I think OP's not the jerk here. Whether it's action figures or dolls or cards or Beyblades or whatever your kid likes and, owns, those should be respected and cared for by other kids. Nobody likes it when somebody rolls up and helps themselves to your favorite things without ever even mentioning it. All I can say is it seems like OP's sister seems awfully entitled. It would fit right in with the r/entitled parent stories that I read. Our next story is from AITA PC Throwaway. Am I the jerk for buying my own computer and not letting my brother use it? I'm 15-year-old male, so my brother, 17-year-old male, has a real job. We both play video games, but our family only has one computer. I make my money from Roblox's DevX program and freelancing scripting on Roblox while he goes out to work. The thing is though, when he gets home from work, he just wants to play games and relax, and I can't use the computer for hours, so I can't do my scripting or play games. I would ask him to let me on just so I could exchange for money, but he doesn't let me. So I saved my money and bought my own computer. The thing is, the computer my family has isn't very nice. I had enough money, so I bought myself a nice enough gaming PC so that I could not only play and work, but do it faster and more smoothly. When my brother found out, he was at first excited since, and I quote, "Finally, I'll have something nicer to play on when I get home." I told him that I bought this for me, and only me. He will not be using it. He got mad and told me that he goes out to work and comes home exhausted from working a real job, while I just stay home and make video games for children. I told him that he can buy his own PC if it matters so much to him, and since he has a real job, he could do it so much easier than I could. He isn't talking to me, and I think this is ridiculous, but I want an outside opinion. Am I the jerk here? I think OP's not the jerk here. When you save up money to buy something for yourself for the first time, that is such an exciting thing. If you worked for that money and you saved up for it, and you splash your money down on something, that's yours, man. You are totally in your complete right to not let anybody else mooch off it. And our final story of the day is from ThrowRA2937569. Am I the jerk for banning avocado from my house after my husband forgot I'm allergic for a second time? For context, we've been together 5 years. I, 28-year-old female, am also pregnant with our first baby. My husband, 30-year-old male, loves avocado, which I get, and have allowed in our house this whole time despite being allergic to it. It won't kill me, but I have oral allergy syndrome, and the main culprit is avocado. I get hives when I even eat avocado oil, and sometimes when using any skincare products with avocado in them. My husband walked into the bedroom tonight to give me a taste of the salad he just made. He didn't actually give me a bite with avocado, so I didn't think anything of it until my gum started burning. I walked into the kitchen and saw the grocery receipt, which said 2 Haas avocados on it. I asked him if he put avocado in the salad, and he said, "Oh yeah, don't freak out. I totally forgot I put avocado in there." The first time was when he cooked tuna steaks with avocado oil, and my entire arm broke out in hives. I took 2 Benadryl and I'm now waiting for my gums to stop feeling like hot fire, but in the middle of yelling at him, I told him no more freaking avocados in this house. He can eat them at restaurants and literally everywhere else, but if he can't keep it from me, then they're banned. He just said that he was sorry, he forgot. I feel like this is my only solution. So, am I the jerk? If this is a situation where they really like avocado, it might be tough to actually outlaw it from the house. Like, I think you might just get some sneakier storage or something. Like, check the very back of the refrigerator behind everything else. But I also don't think OP's the jerk for it, because who enjoys suffering that avocado accident multiple times? But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another Am I the Jerk Here story that was way crazier than any of the ones in this video, click on that left video. Or if you missed my latest video, check out the one on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.